Streamcast. It's my boy Styles 36 Styles and Cell Dog 7.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's going on, man? How's the week? How's the week been treating you, man?
At least been good, man. It's going by. It went by fast. Went by fast. So it's always a good week. Got a lot done. Got back in the gym again.
Yeah, so did I. So did I, man. Just
Doesn't it feel good being in the gym and doing that cardio, working up that sweat? It's the best way to start your day off.
yeah, it does, man. I'm battling the whole. I've been getting up early and going to sleep later at night, so I'm battling that. The constant struggle of getting tired throughout the day. But when you work out, you get that energy, man, and we're good to go. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, though. As the phone rings for somebody who I don't even know. 518-687. I don't even know who that is. It's a 512 number, so that's definitely gotta love that. So anyway, we got a lot to get into today. So we got some UFC to get into today. We got some football to get into today, and we got some games to get into today. We're probably going to leave the basketball on the wayside in this episode, but without further ado, let's get going into UFC. So what we got going on in UFC, man? What you want to talk about today?
We got good, exciting stuff. Didn't you say you recently watched a fight with the eye poke?
Yes, it's the guy with the hematoma.
Yeah, the one that everyone's been talking about.
Yes, that's the fight I saw. Yeah.
Now, when you were watching that fight, I don't really have all the details of it, but it's just because everyone's talking about it right now. The guy with the hematoma? They're saying that the fight should have been stopped. He got poked in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But before that happened, do you think he was losing the fight based on what you saw?
It looked like he wasn't able to get to the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he just kept. He kept like the guy. He had a reach on him. He had reach on him, and every time he just kept running into his fist. And they were just saying it was unfortunate that it didn't look like it was an accident. I watched it for like 10 minutes and saw in 10 minutes.
Oh, you really think that it was intentional?
No, I didn't. They thought that it might have been. I thought it was an accident. In 10 minutes, it happened maybe twice, but it didn't look like. It just looked like that's how he had his hands.
Yeah,
when after he was done connecting, like his hands would kind of come apart, and it just go in there. But the crazy thing is like when they were looking into his eyes, like at one moment they paused it. I mean, they stopped the fight, and they were about to stop the fight, but he was like, no, I'm good. He had a doctor look in his eye like 3 times while he was standing, and you're looking at his eye, and his eye looks fine. So I mean, it's not like. So then to see that, ooh.
Yeah,
it was gross. I wish I had
an unfortunate outturn, but I don't think it affected the actual outcome of the fight. Because I'll say it was just one of those nasty things to look at. You know what I mean? It was like that first fight that we watched together with the Robbie Lawler fight, with the Rory McDonald fight.
Mm-hmm.
How nasty the fights were, his nose crushed, and it's just an unfortunate. It comes with the sport. You know what I mean?
It's UFC, man.
Yeah, it's UFC.
If you ain't getting hurt, or you ain't hurt, if you ain't hurting somebody, you're getting hurt. So
exactly. I guess the person that's been doing a lot of hurting lately is Conor McGregor, right?
Yes. This guy's unbelievable, man.
So the new thing with Conor McGregor is that the fight they came to agreement with money. It's going to be he will be making over $500,000 to fight Rafael dos Santos, and he will be stepping up the challenge. It is official now.
Oh wow, it's official.
100% official now, and I think this is going to. I'm saying it here now, and I want to see what people are going to say, what people think in the chat, what people say in the comments. I think this is going to be the fall of Conor McGregor. Only because, first of all, before we get into that aspect of it, I think he should defend. I think for you to be a champion, and tell me if you agree, you should defend your title. That should always come first.
You should at least do it once.
Exactly. So I think
before you vacate it.
What he should have done is he should have taken the fight. Another featherweight fight, which is with the New Jersey kid. Everyone knows
Frankie
Edgar.
Yeah.
He should have taken that fight and then stepped up to Dos Santos, because Dos Santos is a lot stronger. I think what's going to happen in that fight, he's going to be backing Conor McGregor back up against the cage, pulling him down, and either submitting him or just ground and pounding him. And he's got the strength, the power, the ability to do it. They're both top-level strikers, but like I said, if a striker, if you back him up against the wall, where's he going to strike for? Strike from, And then when you pull him down a hole there, what Dos Santos can do, it's going to be an interesting fight. So that's going to be good. I'm excited about that for March 5th. The fight that just went down, which was extremely exciting, and I want your opinion on it too, was the Dominic Cruz fight versus T.J. Dillashaw. We all know what's going on with him and the whole Uriah Faber thing. How there's that big, you know, Dillashaw left his camp to go work in a different camp after Uriah Faber pretty much invested all his time and money into making Dillashaw.
Why did he leave, or did he ever say why he left the camp to begin with? Like some friction, or he just didn't like how Uriah Faber was running it or something?
Well,
or what? Like,
I actually agree with his reason for leaving. I just don't agree with how he did it. There was actually a striking coach that worked there, like a world-renowned striking coach that worked in the same camp as Uriah Faber, but Uriah Faber and that coach had a falling out, and he went to go work at a different gym, and T.J. Dillashaw, who just so happened to be learning so much, said, the best thing for me to do is to go with that coach. Which, I mean, I see the reasoning behind it, but there's a certain tact that you go about doing it. And Uriah Faber was like the last one to find out about it, and that's the complete opposite of how you go about handling that situation. So,
but that's kind of shady.
Yes, exactly. And Conor McGregor kind of pointed it out a little bit, kind of rubbed it in Uriah Faber's face, and it didn't really go too well. But see, that was the exciting part about this fight here, this Dominic Cruz fight, because people thought that if T.J. Dillashaw could beat Dominic Cruz, or vice versa, that he'd be going after Uriah Faber, which is not the case. It was probably one of the most controversial decisions probably this year, 2016, which there was only had one fight to really judge.
Oh man, dude!
But this is what.
So, am I paying attention in the streamcast right now, or what? Like, so who did win anyway?
All right, so
or you can. Were you
Dominic
leading us up to
Yeah,
that?
I'm leading right up.
Okay,
to it.
so
Dominic
lead up to
Cruz,
it.
and this is what I'm asking. Like, it was a decision.
Okay.
So it came down to the decision, 5 rounds. Everybody gives the first. Everyone says the first round was given to TJ. Second round was given to Dominic. Third round was given to Dominic. Fourth round was given to TJ. Last round was given to Dominic. But the way that they do the ranking there is like both boxers can get 10. How is that possible? If there's a fight going on, right? Someone has to be winning the round. How can I say, okay, 10-10 in a fight, unless it's dead even? I understand that. But if there's someone saying, okay, look, this person's beating this person, that person's winning, how can both of them have a 10? You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, man, that's what happens when you leave. Oh, what's happening? Oh, okay. ESPN alert, no doubt. That's what happens when you have human error. Like
that's true.
Did you? I mean, I remember watching the I didn't watch the fight, but I saw on extended highlights on YouTube, and then I listened to a couple podcasts talking about it. The Timothy Bradley Manny Pacquiao fight, like a couple years ago, like Pacquiao was dominating him, just destroying him. Excuse me. Knocked him down like twice, but being that Pacquiao was a champion, you had to knock him down, whatever. And it was, everybody was like, yeah, Pacquiao won this, and it just won this, and he ended up losing the fight, and they gave it to Timothy Bradley, and he won the belt. And the crazy thing about it is, I remember the fallout of that later on was like a couple weeks later, the lady that judged. All the judges, or the 2 out of the 3 judges, they got like suspended or something.
Oh wow!
Like it was just like, yeah, did they get suspended? Don't quote me on it. I'd have to look it up. Should have done more research, but I didn't know I was going to be talking about Manny Pacquiao in that fight 2 years ago. But I don't think that anybody got suspended or anything. But it was widely, rumored that like there was a female judge on there that didn't know what she was doing. They were like, she needs to not ever judge fights again because her vote was the swinging one. There's 3 judges there for each round. They scored the rounds like it was about 12 rounds, like 7-5 in Timothy's favor.
Wow!
But two of her judges, to give the round to Timothy were rounds that the other 2 said Pacquiao won. And it was just like, it was just. Like, what were you watching?
That's what I'm saying, and it sucks when you think about it for the athlete to go through that war, right? I mean, it really is a fight for your life, right? And you can get injured, you can definitely get hurt, and then to be make it through that, and then be like the same thing. What fight were you watching? You know what I mean? So it was a pretty controversial role, and I think this year you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. Like you're going to be seeing decisions. Probably I don't know if challenged, but I think people are really going to be going after the UFC for the decisions because of how the fights are being set up, all the allegations of the drugs that are being used and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a pretty controversial year. But yeah, that was an interesting fight, and the person that did win is Dominic Cruz, which I think was rightfully so. If you look at the fight, if you watch the fight, and people I want them to watch and put in the comments what you think. Dominic Cruz, he was pushing the action in terms of he was setting. If you look at it, you see he was setting up TJ a lot. You see a TJ missing so many important shots that TJ Dillashaw, probably one of the most versatile fighters in the UFC, normally lands. So for Dominic Cruz to come out who had a groin injury, he had a groin injury for years. It actually took him out of the UFC. He went into sports broadcasting for ESPN doing UFC, and he came back and beat TJ Dillashaw, which arguably anybody who watches UFC will agree with me. He's probably one of the most exciting up and coming talents of the UFC. And for Dominic Cruz to step in and be on after a 3-year hiatus and actually dominate the match the way that he did, pull the fight in his direction the way he needed to be to make Cruz mix, to get him frustrated and to get that decision, land some really key shots that rocked TJ Dillashaw. It was interesting to see. It's just going to be a lot more for Dominic Cruz, and it's still a lot more for TJ Dillashaw. It was just his first defeat, and that's the one thing about this sport that I think it rivals. No other sport really rivals it. Seahawks, they'll lose throughout the season, but at the end they can still pull together and go and win a Super Bowl. As a fighter, you get defeated once, that could be it for you. I mean, perfect example, Ronda Rousey. When's the last time you heard anyone say anything about Ronda Rousey? 2 months ago, she was the hottest thing around, but one defeat, look what it does to their career, Yeah. So I think that's the interesting thing about it.
Well, bottom line is like when it comes to things that have to get judged by humans, whether it's calls for balls and strikes in baseball or in boxing or in UFC or in figure skating, Olympic judging and stuff perfect world, you just get, robot, cyclopses and just let them deal it. But then, I've heard a lot of people say, and I kind of agree with this, well, then you take the human element of the game out. The human element part of it is with refs for the NFL, refs for all, major sports, that human element for them to make the judgment call, for them to sometimes not, sometimes there's something to a game.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes they have to judge a game, and it's, it's human, it's errors. We play the game. Human beings do, not robots, not,
that's true.
Not radar detectors or whatever. So,
well, here's a question though, and I want to see how you tackle this. Okay, so you have two fighters, world-class athletes. They're fighting for a championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both make it all the way to round 5. Why don't you say the fight's a draw? The person that currently owns the belt keeps the belt, and then they have to do an automatic rematch to fight. The next fight is automatically going to be each other for the opponent. What's wrong with that?
I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that.
What do you? I mean,
it just, I just learned with sports, sometimes it's so easy for us, but then it's there's always other, there's always other factors hidden behind sports, companies, this or that or whatever.
Why things are done a certain way.
For instance, the NFL is always talking about how they want to get rid of the extra point because it's such an automatic thing. Just make the touchdown 7 points. But then, I was like, yeah, man, who wants to see the extra point? That's automatic. But then I thought about, well, if they got rid of the extra point, now the kickers have even less of a responsibility. They already have less of a responsibility to begin with. Then that becomes jobs, and then the game actually changes because now, instead of, those 7 points are guaranteed where they weren't before.
That's true.
That makes the 2-point conversion even more.
Yeah.
So it's like a revolving thing. I just feel like you're right. I just think that that's a simple answer, but I just think that I'm hoping for your sake, for my sake, for UFC fans' sake, like there's somebody out there telling them like, no, you can't do it that way. These are the reasons why, and you just haven't put it out there. you know? At the end of the day, I mean, that's all you can really do at the end of the day with that. It's just, and then they can always have plausible, deniability and be like, you're just a fan. Like, we'll never listen to the fans. Like, they say like one of the sayings is that if you listen to the fans, as an owner, as a GM, if you listen to the fans, then you end up sitting with the fans.
I like that one.
I mean, you end up having no job. You end up losing it.
No, you're definitely right.
Because we're very unpredictable and we don't see anything. Right. The only thing we care about is win, win, win.
That's right. Right.
So,
so it's been exciting. I'm getting really excited about March 5th. That's the biggest fight on the card.
We're going to be watching it together somehow.
Definitely, man.
Hopefully.
Definitely.
I mean, if my job allows me to, because my job, they say the week starts on a Saturday. So, but I mean, actually, I'll be able to, because their things are like till late, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't gonna be working then, so I should be able to watch the fight.
We'll definitely be able to get there.
So let's
awesome. Move to our NFL, because it's been an interesting week. Disappointing week for some, more than others.
Yes,
my Seahawks included.
Yes.
And people want to know what I think about the Seahawks. Let me tell you something. I think the way that game ended wrapped up the Seahawks season. They were off to a late start. By the time they got their momentum going, it was too late. And that just shows I think that wraps up the whole season for the Seahawks. Everyone knows that, and they watch their games. Their games always come down to fourth quarter. You know what I mean? It takes them a while to get warm. And their best games, I've never seen the Seahawks. Well, we have. But, I mean, in the most part, they always close up the game in the second half of the football game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it was a little too much, too little, too late. You know what I'm saying? It was unfortunate. You had, in the beginning of the season, you had that holdout. That threw off the team. They lost a couple games, brought down momentum. Lynch wasn't running. It just didn't seem like they didn't get everything going. Like, you never felt like they were running like a complete unit that whole entire season. And I think that at the end, going into the playoffs, you saw that. You saw flashes of the old Seahawks, but it just didn't really come together in none of the games. And I've always felt this way, and I think a lot of people would agree. When you get into your second game of the playoffs because of a missed field goal by the other team, it's almost like you're not supposed to be there. That's how I felt, and I'm a fan. Tell me if you agree.
Listen. I'm just trying to say right here. This is the first time I've heard of a fan not only be rational but make sense about their own team. And I mean, you just said I don't have to say anything. I mean, that's exactly what I thought. Like, the only thing I could do is just use a spiffy, difficult word like microcosm. But that's that's what it was. It was basically a microcosm of their season was the ending. And I'll never, for you guys out there, when you watch this, whatever, like, I'm very careful about talking about teams if there's a fan there or one of my friends is that team, because at the end of the day, I don't like hearing it from nobody when they talking to me about the Eagles, because I watch them and I bleed the Eagles and I am on their websites, and I'm looking at every alert that I have goes to my favorite teams, and the Eagles one of them. So, I'll never just say to you, no, this is what it is, because you watch that team more.
Yeah.
You watch that team, you bleed that team, I'm telling you right now, I mean, without me looking from the outside, I mean, you pretty much nailed it for me. I mean, that's pretty much some of the same thinkings and stuff that I had. I just feel like at the end of the day, when you get to the playoffs are against the best teams. They're a reason why they're in there. And, you can't spot any team in the playoffs, football, 31 points.
Yeah.
Like, if they were to win that game, that would be wrong.
That's a good point. That would
be wrong, right?
That's so true.
I mean, that would be wrong. You'd be sitting there this week, you'd be happy, but you'd be like, okay,
what's going on here?
Or you would be like, you should be thinking, I would be thinking, well, it's just meant to be. But I mean, in all seriousness, like,
that brings us right into Carolina Panthers. When I watch them, when I watch them step on that field, when I watch what they're doing, I feel that way. It was meant to be. You know what I mean?
Everything's aligning right for them in a certain respect.
Cam, I mean,
Cam didn't even have to have a game, really.
That's what's
The
going.
defense took over.
And to speak on what you just said about the playoffs being against the best teams, if Cam doesn't need to show up, then they're in trouble because Cam shows up. You know what I mean? So multiply that by 2, him showing up and them showing up. Like, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game.
Some would say that he didn't show up in that game as an MVP level, but they were still able to win. That's the scary part.
That's scary.
Because now a team knows that. Think about it. You're the Carolina Panthers. All last week you heard about how Seattle was going to beat them. I talked about it on this show last week. Like, people have this thing that Seattle has this aura, and, it's either going to come to fruition or it's not. Carolina just went in there and was like, nope, we're good. Like, you guys come back to the drawing board. I mean, I wouldn't say come back to the drawing board because – I was listening to somebody at ESPN and it was right. Like, if those two teams played 3 more times, Seattle's winning 2 of them, 1 or 2 of them. If you played it straight on like that, because you got to figure some of those points they got in the first half, you can't bank on those. Like, you can't bank on the interception and then the run back for the touchdown. You know what I'm saying? You can't count on those defensive touchdowns. So,
those are good points.
I mean, at the end of the day, the score in the beginning of that first half is not indicative of what the Seattle team was. But, I mean, as not being a fan, I'm just disappointed in Marshawn Lynch, man. I mean, I'm watching E60 specials on this guy. I'm feeling like, wow, this guy's really cut from a different cloth. And for all intents and purposes, he still is. But, man, I mean, if you're going to dog it out like that,
No. I don't think he went beast mode once this season. I don't think, and if he did, I missed it.
No, he was he was not a beast.
That ESPN missed it, and radio talk shows missed it because I didn't see any footage of him going beast mode. He didn't have one beast mode game. It's unfortunate.
I mean, well, here's one thing that we know though. We now know that we didn't know last week. We now know who the MVP is.
Yeah, of course. Hands down.
Cam Newton. Got any issues with that? Or?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What can be said about his season except for having the perfect season this year for him? And remember, this guy's coming last year. He was in a car accident. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking to myself, something happened with him, but it wasn't controversy as far as,
car accident.
Negative towards him doing something. But this guy, his truck flipped over, and he got out A-OK.
Looking like the real life Superman, and then he comes out and has this season, and it's just everything's coming together for this kid,
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to see because he's maturing as a leader and he's maturing as a person, and it's just coming together so nicely. And I love how he interacts with his fans. He's I would say he's a LeBron James in terms of fan interaction of the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's become
kids love him.
An inspiration.
Exactly.
He's a really, say what you want about Cam, but he's been a winner at every level. When he didn't get, when he didn't go to Division I school, he had to transfer, go to junior college, got a championship.
Yeah.
Then went for one season at Auburn, with Gene Chizik. You remember that guy? Yeah, he was the coach of this Auburn team. They won a national championship. Cam left 2 years later after finishing 3-9 and 2-10. That championship coach was fired.
Wow.
Okay. After 2 years after that championship, so that kind of tells you that it was all about Cam. Obviously, I mean Cam. How can I even put Johnny Manziel in the same sentence as Cam on this? But the only thing I can say is Cam was the only other quarterback besides Johnny Manziel that I ever saw go into Tuscaloosa against Alabama on their home team, and not only did he beat them, Auburn was down 27-0. He came back and willed his team to victory against Nick Saban.
Oh yeah.
I remember that game.
That's a legendary game.
That was a game for the ages, man. And he did it more by himself.
30-30 on that, probably.
That was not supposed to happen. So, I mean, what more can you say about Cam turning into an elite quarterback? But I'll say this about your Seattle Seahawks team and put a good bow on it in a good way. At least you know what you got. You got yourself a proven elite quarterback. Because I'll tell you what, Russell Wilson never quit on you.
No, and that's one thing.
I mean, he never quit.
No,
this guy.
That's what got him into the Super Bowl last year. I mean, him not quitting. That focus, that drive when he thought it was over, him, draining every second out of every play that he gets. You know what I'm saying? So that's true. That's true, and I hope that's why I've had this question: when can you stop being a fan of a team? Like when all the players that were on it, when you liked them to get traded, a new coach.
It's tough, because I'm dealing with my Eagles team, and all the good guys are gone. What I do is I'm always a fan of the team itself and the players. When the players move on, I just root for them. But I still, at the end of the day, I will always be and still will be an Eagles fan. So we will be doing the Eagles fight song, "Fly, Eagles Fly," forever until I die. And when I have a baby boy or a baby girl, at least until she decides to go into other stuff besides sports. If she decides not to go into sports, they will be wearing Eagles apparel.
There you go.
My wife and her family are you had the Giants and all that, but there's no Giant country here for me. It's all Eagles. So, I feel like for me, it just depends on what your fandom is. I have some friends who, I'm a Curry, I'm a Stephen Curry fan. I ain't a Golden State Warriors fan, but
there you go.
I love watching him play.
Wilson's why I'm going to be a Seahawks fan for a very long time because I don't think they're going to go anywhere. He's going to go anywhere.
He's always going to have them in contention, no matter what they put around him. He's that type of guy, like a Tom Brady. Speaking of Tom Brady, I think last week, and if you guys, if you guys go back and check up on me and find out that I'm wrong, leave a comment and say, "Yo, Shell Dog 7, you were dead wrong." But I think I called that Chiefs. Patriots game where it's just you got to be special to go up to New England and win, man. And just Alex Smith, he's a decent quarterback, but he's just not elite and he's just not special enough to put the team on his back and go against a Hall of Famer. On their home turf. So that game pretty much went the way I thought it was. The game that I was wrong, that I know for sure I was wrong about, was that Green Bay game. But I was right in this respect. Last week I told you that it was going to be hard for the Cardinals to blow out Green Bay again. And that wasn't a blowout. It was anything but a blowout. It was a heck of a game. Aaron Rodgers, Hail Mary. You got 7 seconds left. I need a touchdown. Just call Aaron Rodgers. He'll air that out for
you. All right, so let me ask you a question, though. What the hell happened at that last game? How do you, in that last play in overtime, how do you let Fitzgerald get that open?
I'm glad you asked. Well, basically, when you're playing in sports, as I watch the coaches coach, you can coach certain things, but there's certain things you can't coach. One of them is broken play. If you were to tell me that Carson Palmer was going to spin out of a tackle and run, and Carson Palmer is 36 years old and he's not a runner. He's a drop back passer. He's going to spin out of a tackle, run, and then throw it off his back foot across the other side of the field where there's nobody.
Yeah.
Then I would be like, that's how they do it. But it was a broken play. Packers forced him out. They should have had him sacked. He was able to get away just enough to throw the ball down. And once you get it to one of your elite personnel in football like Fitzgerald, that's what happens. He runs off 75 yards, and then why not give it to him again for the wide receiver sneak in, man? Why not? And if I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, I'm pissed. But you know what? You guys had your chances. You intercepted him twice. The last one you should have held onto the ball, and then the game's over. But Sam Shields drops the ball.
I don't know how that happens.
He catches it and drops it. You've got to catch those, and you got to make those plays. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, man, I'm leaving. I'm leaving the field, and I'm just I'm disappointed in such a way because this will be the third time that he has lost the NFL playoff game. after tying it up or sending it into overtime before he even gets the ball. Because last year it happened to him against your Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
He tied him. He got him to overtime, and then first or second play of the game, you know what happens. Russell Wilson hits up the tight end touchdown, and he's just sitting there like, what else do I got to do here?
All right. Well, so last week you gave us some really good predictions. What do you think going into next game? What are the chances of Arizona beating Carolina this week?
Man, okay, Arizona's got a very good chance of beating Carolina just because Arizona's strengths are Carolina's weaknesses. Carolina has one cornerback that's good. That's Josh Norman. The other two, Roman Harper, always getting toasted, like butter on toast, man. Just always getting toasted. They have Cortland Finnegan, who's been out of the league. Then he came back 2 weeks ago to play. So that just tells you what type of quality he is. And they're two safeties who I don't know much about because I'm not a Carolina fan, but they're not really that good. They give up big plays. Odell Beckham, you watch the Giants game, they're getting burned for a living. They're not that good. And guess what? Arizona's got Larry Fitzgerald. They got, Jim Brown. They got these guys, Michael Floyd. They got these guys that are just speed demons that are not besides Fitzgerald, not your top quality wide receivers, but they can blow the top off of defense. So
I heard some crazy statistic this week about Fitzgerald that for every one ball that he drops, he catches 28.
I'm not surprised. I haven't seen him in the playoffs. I've watched the Cardinals 3 times this year, and I haven't seen him drop a pass thrown his way.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So,
but I think at the end of the day, I just think that
the cards are for Carolina.
I'm going with Carolina because I just think that their quarterback's playing better. And I don't care what anybody says on ESPN. They're all telling me how Carson Palmer led the league in QBR and all that. You know what? I'm just doing the eye test. I saw Carson Palmer last week against a team that was not as good as Seattle. Almost wet the bed and almost lost it for him.
Okay.
So I'm going with Carolina in that game because I think Cam, he's going to do what he has to do because this is going to be a game that's going to be close. He's going to have to perform. And like he said on his press the other day, his interview, like, hey, there's no, I got no pressure on me. So, and that team plays with his emotion. So I'm going with Carolina in that game. That's a 6:40 Eastern time start there. So that's the late game. The earlier game, Denver and New England, I mean,
this is interesting.
Can I tell you what I hope happens?
Man. Can I tell you what I think? I know you're going to tell me about what hope. I think what you hope happens is what every person except the Patriot fan hopes happens. Is that the Denver wins. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah.
My heart says, can we just get Peyton one more ring? Because I'm so tired of hearing people say how he's only got one ring and he's just not that great.
Yeah,
But
let me tell you something though. If they somehow get through the Patriots, how the hell are they going to get through Carolina?
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying. Like a lot of people don't want the Broncos to win because they know it's going to be not that great of a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But let me at least. I don't. These are not my team, so I'm not gonna speak to my heart. I'm just gonna give you guys the picks, educated guess. Educated guess. I'm telling you right now, I'm going with New England. Now, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, love them. They're Patriots fans, so they'll be happy to hear this. But, I don't want to, but I just think you just look at, once again, quarterbacks. Tom Brady's playing better than what was or what is Peyton Manning at this day. Now, I will be pleasantly surprised if the game comes and Peyton Manning throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdown passes and they win. I'm not going to be crying over here for my brother and sister-in-law. But I don't see that happening. The only way Denver can win this game is by running the ball and, having that defense rise to the occasion and slow down that New England offense. And I'm not going to ever regurgitate anything I hear from ESPN. So we're not going to go into anything else but what I just said there because that's original for me. Okay? That's it. The Patriots always stop your number one thing you like to do. So that's the run for Denver. If they can stop the run, then it's going to make Peyton Manning want to throw the ball. And until I see Peyton Manning throw the ball, I don't believe that
He can throw it.
he can throw the ball anymore. So I got New England. Carolina meeting.
What's up with Denver? I mean, Denver getting stuck with these quarterbacks that can't throw the ball.
Well, Peyton Manning could throw the ball. It's
Yeah.
just time's caught up with him. And, you're talking about a 39-year-old about to be 40, so with 4 neck surgeries.
Do you think he thinks time's caught up to him? I mean, after when a quarterback, you get put on the bench, quarterback starts over you, then you get put in the game to win the game. You think he feels that way?
Well, I've heard a lot from watching sports and interviews with people that the hardest thing for an athlete to do is to tell themselves that it's over.
That's a good point.
But in football, at least you don't have to worry. It shouldn't be too hard. It's like once you keep not performing or getting sacked or getting hurt, you're gonna get sat on the bench and then you won't play again. The league will tell you if you can play or not. Still, that's the beautiful thing about the NFL. The basketball league, there's always a place for you. Even if you're not that great, you can go to somebody's bench, come off the bench during garbage time when the game sucks or whatever. It's not that physical, so you're not getting hurt as much. But in football, whenever he goes out there and he gets hit and he's got to pull himself up off the mat and realize that I'm not only that good, but how much more punishment do I want to take? So he's got to come to those grips with himself. A lot of people think that he won't be back in Denver next year. So I've got New England and Carolina meeting in the Super Bowl with. We doing a show next week? I think we're gonna do a show next week.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll let you know what my Super Bowl pick will be. What our Super Bowl pick will be next week. But who do you think? What do you think?
I agree with you. I mean, as much as I like to see Arizona going, I just don't see them being Carolina.
I won't be shocked if Arizona. I won't be shocked if it's Arizona knowing. The only shocking thing would be if Denver is in there.
I will be shocked. I will be shocked because Carolina is just too much on the roll. Cam Newton, like you said, I mean, it's like the team dances to his war drums. You know what I'm saying? And when he's feeling good, he's healthy. It's just everything's clicking for those guys. So, and then the Patriots, I just don't see. People say they want to see this big matchup between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, but it's like it's not really Peyton Manning. It's a
I feel like I'm watching ESPN right now, but I know that's coming from you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Just hit it right on the nail. It's not
a fair comparison.
It's really Brady versus the Denver defense.
There you go.
For me, that's what it is. That's
what
it
comes down to. That's really what it comes down to.
I love you, Denver Bronco fans, but we gotta keep it real.
Honest right now.
Keep it real. That's what I think it is. I mean, Denver. Peyton hasn't been himself for like 8-9 weeks now. So
no, he hasn't. He's a shadow of what he used to be.
So that's our picks there. I guess we're both.
We'll see what it
both
is.
Agreeing.
We'll see what it is. So I guess that's going to bring us. We'll start wrapping up the show with the last portion, which is the games.
Oh man, hey! I mean, we're all about games here, right? I mean, you can't get enough about the game. So what do you want to delve into first, man?
All right. What I want to delve into is this UFC 2.
Oh man,
making Mike Tyson a playable character if you pre-order it. Do you realize how ridiculous Mike Tyson looks? If you guys have a chance,
just take a look at Mike Tyson right there. First off, I mean, you're telling me he's gonna be cut like that and look like that? Like
he looks mean. Like that's the Mike Tyson I remember.
I'm getting flashbacks right now. Like I think I just want to go see like 10 of his top 10 best knockouts now on YouTube when I'm done, bro.
When you get a chance, guys, check out and leave in the comments. Let me know what you think. Check out his highlight video they put for the UFC 2. He's knocking out Silva. He's knocking out Chris Weidman. He's just these vicious combos. It's like this game is going to be here in March, and you're going to have him as a hidden play. Oh my gosh, it's going to be nasty. And just for them to think about it and actually say, okay, Bruce Lee ahead in the first one. The only person that's better than Bruce Lee is Mike Tyson, and that's who they put into it. That's just a hats off to EA Sports. That's definitely a hats off to EA Sports. So I'm looking forward to that. And we just got some good news about the beta.
Yes.
For the division.
For the division.
That's going to be here in February, which is going to be absolutely amazing. We covered it a little bit last week. For those who missed the show, we talked about it a little bit last week. But just give them a rehash because you actually had limited access, which was the alpha. they came out with, and just
Mhm.
give the guys like a idea of what the feel was for the game was.
All right, so this, like I think I said last week, I'll kind of start it off with this to kind of get me jump started like a lawnmower. Like, if you played any of the Grand Theft Autos, this is basically that type of 3D world where you can run around and there's a lot of interactive people on the streets. You have innocent bystanders on the streets. Just the overall background again. Biological terrorists have taken over New York City. Basically, New York City's been walled off, walled off or quarantined off from the rest of the country or whatever. And like the division, your sets of militant personnel on different teams trying to take back different sections of New York City from the terrorists. You got to do a lot of missions. So as you're walking through the city and stuff, running through whatever with your guns and stuff, you come across people who are just like in Grand Theft Auto or The Witcher. You come across people who will all of a sudden talk to you, interact with you. They're like, "Hey, I need help with this," and you just do side missions, help them while trying to go and take care of your main objective. You can pick who you want to be. I picked in the beta a young black man because I am a black man. I'm not young anymore, but but you can pick a girl. You can be an Asian. You can be white. You can be white, old, white, black. So I kind of like that. It's kind of like Star Wars Battlefront where you can
Highly
be you can
customizable.
highly
Yeah.
customize yourself, how you look and stuff. The weapons, the way you change your weapons and stuff on the go, it's just pretty much similar like that. Now, I don't know about any vehicles or anything in this game. I didn't see any in there. I doubt there's going to be any in there. I don't know, but I didn't get into any vehicles and stuff. But basically, the gameplay, the camera angles are really good. You've got your first person you can use, or you could get your, on top, version of looking at your whole body.
So this
Running around and stuff.
this isn't necessarily like a red box rental. This is one to add to your personal library.
Listen, I'm adding it to my personal, collection. I mean, I've only played 4 Tom Clancy games, and all of them I played I love. So, right now I'm taking care of the Rainbow Six, Siege game. Which, man, I could get into detail with you about that, but I've been playing that for about 2 weeks, but this is still about the Division. So, getting back to the Division, that game, there's also going to be side missions for it. I don't know what it is, but the beta starts next week for, I think, about 3 or 4 days.
Now, are you going to be streaming some of that on your Twitch channel?
As long as, this is supposed to be a closed beta, so we're closed, now with the alpha beta, they put a disclaimer on top saying why they don't want you to stream, and if you stream, this could happen. So, as long as I don't see that disclaimer on this beta, like they did with Rainbow Six,
Right.
I did the test one, and then later on they came out with a regular one and extended it, and then I could stream it. Then you guys will be seeing some of the a lot of the Division next week. But it's definitely a must-have game. The UFC 2. I mean, you just want to be Mike Tyson, right?
Oh, of course. That game you have to put in your library. I mean, that's a game for when the guys Super Bowls come over. You're having a bunch of people over. The 2 hours before the game starts, before the commercials start going, you just rock it out, man. You just rock it
I
out.
can't wait.
You know what I'm saying?
I cannot wait for us to both get the UFC
It's going to be
on
crazy.
Xbox One, and we will be playing against each other, and we will be playing against all of you as well. I've never played UFC. He's going to have a little learning curve head start on me because he had the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have it, but you know what? If you're a gamer, you'll figure it out. So I'll figure it out. And if I'm going to lose to anybody, I don't mind losing to him.
Yeah.
I don't mind losing to anybody, but I mean,
It's a friend and you're just laughing, having up, and learning. It's all good.
There you go.
All right, so we got like 15 minutes left, and I actually want to talk about something that I remember we didn't talk to Shell Dog 7 about
Oh,
for
shoot.
the last 3 or 4 months in more detail than expected, but haven't really gotten around to it. And
Okay.
I think it's once he hears about the top subject, he's going to start laughing. But we got to cover movies. We have 15 minutes left. What's going on with The Walking Dead?
Dang.
What'd I say?
What'd I say?
Listen, man, listen. It is not my fault that I haven't followed up on The Walking Dead.
No, but what do you think so far?
Listen,
What
man,
you've
The
seen
Walking
so
Dead
far.
is very engrossing, intoxicating. I mean, the only reason why I say I don't like it is because my wife got into it and she watches it when I stream. And if you ever watch my streams and I start going like this,
What's
going on? Oh, did they do what or whatever? You guys are probably like, what is he doing? And it's like my wife's watching The Walking Dead. But other than that, it's good. It's just, what is it that you said? It forces you to do. It forces you to think about what you would do in those dire situations.
And anybody out there, like I said, leave in the comments who disagrees. Let me know what you think. But when I'm watching those shows and I'm watching those episodes, and I see Rick making decisions and I see other people making decisions, I'm like, what would I do in that situation?
Mm.
The other day I was at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we get invaded right now.
Oh man!
You know what I'm saying?
All of a sudden,
I'm like, that dude's gonna be the first one that's gonna go.
Listen, man. I can already look on my street and know who's survivors and who aren't.
You know what I'm saying?
And my next door neighbors over there, I can count them out. These guys over here, I think I will have a chance because
so funny.
my one neighbor, he's like some prodigy son, nature survivalist guy.
Wow.
So I'm hanging out with that dude.
Yeah.
And the people across the street, they're so old. Nah, they ain't gonna make it. Dude got back problems. He ain't making it.
You know
So-
what you just pointed out to me though? In all reality, if say this we had a zombie apocalypse, so I'm not saying we would, but we're just staying in the Walking Dead topic. The value system of who we value now will get completely switched over. For example, and all the people running around with money's not going to mean anything. You're going to want the people that survive, that know how to hunt, that know how to, you know what I mean? Like the natural survivors. Like those are the people that are going to have value. You know what I mean? If something does go bad, it's just interesting to see what if the world were to get flipped upside down, where our values and concerns would go. But you enjoy the show though, right? I mean,
Yes, it's just that my wife has not gotten back to it. Therefore, I
you
haven't
haven't
gotten
gotten back to it. Yeah.
you
Same
know?
thing. I'm way deeper into it, so it probably wouldn't be good to.
I mean, how
talk
many
about
seasons in there? I think we're like on
6
season 2, man.
There's
Just
6 seasons of brilliant writing, man.
they
It's
just
brilliant.
keep being able to write. Man.
It's
That's
one of the
amazing.
only shows that, and they said they have enough. They have enough to do 12 more seasons, enough material, because they're pulling it from a comic book series that was originally written.
Oh
And-
wow! How did I not know about that?
Yeah, so I guess from the comic book series, that's constantly growing. So if that's constantly growing, their ability to write on these chapters is constantly growing. So I think it's interesting. I love the show. I can't wait for it to come back on because it's definitely one of those things where it's like it's Sunday, gives you something to look forward to. At the end of the
Man,
night, you know.
I just stream it out, man.
You just stream it
I
out,
just
man.
stream it
Nothing wrong
out
with
while I
streaming out.
can. You know, I just stream it out while I can.
So a lot of the viewers, they might know us through our Instagram account. They might know through your Twitch account, through my Twitch account. But why don't you tell them what Twitch is, and give them a better idea of what you do when you're on there.
Well,
So I don't think
before I knew what Twitch was, I knew nothing, and I was just playing video games, just more for myself, which is self-gratifying. But you could just take it too seriously. Then Styles one day was like, "Hey, you ever heard of this thing called Twitch? People could watch you play video games. That's basically what it is. People could watch you play or watch you entertain. Like we're entertaining you guys right now. There's only one viewer at this point, but we're entertaining you. You know what I'm saying? And
If you ain't watching, you missing out.
there you go. They'll figure it out. Spread the word. Spread the word. Hey, they'll get it going. They'll get it going. It's just entertainment. It's free entertainment. It's basically free entertainment. Now, it's a platform for streamers. Streaming meaning you're playing video games and you're putting it out there so people can watch while you play. It's video games. It's video game contests. It's shows like this and other ones on there. And it gives people. It's so easy to use if you have an app or whatever because you can watch it on anything. You can watch it on your computer. You can watch it on your phones. You can watch it on your tablet.
Sure.
You can wait till I export this to YouTube and go on YouTube on whatever device you want and watch it. So Twitch just bridges the gap between video gamers and entertainment and bringing it more out to the forefront to you guys. so that you guys can watch. Now, you can also use it as a tool as well. Like I use Twitch as a tool because if ever there's a game coming out, and because I know that our partners far overseas in China and overseas, they get the games out 3 to 4 months before we get them stateside. No, I'm just popping up on there, typing up the game, and I'm going to watch the gameplay, real gameplay, not video, chopped together by the people who made the game to only show you the best part of the game, but real people playing, real people like you and me, average Joes, playing the game and telling you their honest opinions. Of course, if you're watching those Asians, probably in their own language and you don't understand, but as well as I subscribe and watch people on here to just get tips, just to see how other people play the same game I have,
Right.
to see if I can get better.
Right.
So it helps you to become a better gamer. You use it for all sorts of stuff. So
There's some really cool people out there.
It's a really good community of gamers. I made some really good friends on there.
yeah, I mean, I didn't have an Xbox One when I started, just PS4 and Wii U, and now I have an Xbox One, and I have so many good friends, not just people I may not know personally, but friends that are gaming friends that we play with, and it's just basically a video game community. So we like to support and do whatever we can to help it out. So, you guys don't be bashful. Tell us what you really think about the show, where we can improve and stuff like that. We know a lot of stuff that we can improve, but it's always good, to hear from you guys, to let us know, because we're doing this for you guys. I mean, we're kind of doing it for ourselves because we like to do it.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
want to provide you information that you are interested in hearing about.
If there's a certain fighter you want me to go crazy about in terms of breaking them down, we can. There's certain fighting styles you want to break them down. Old school video games, we can talk about that. Whatever you guys are interested in talking about, but we're just picking subjects where we would normally talk about. We just say, hey, let's share this with other people, see what they think, and get their feedback, and just start a conversation. You know what I mean? So that's what.
So I don't. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean
No,
to
that's
interrupt you.
not interesting.
So I don't think we talked about it, but I still have. This is the part of this. This is towards the end of it now. We're coming down towards the end of it. I've got a story to tell real
Oh
quick.
yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so this is my video game story for this episode. So I was like 19. We're talking PlayStation 1. I'm a Street Fighter guy. I used to be really good at Street Fighter. Then Street Fighter jumped to other platforms besides Super Nintendo and got to be 3D and 3D cartoon animation and everything. And I'm not that good anymore. I just buy the Street Fighter game titles. I have Street Fighter 25th anniversary with all the games basically the Street Fighters ever came out with a gi belt and a little Ryu statue. Or you can, so, but. So I'm not that good, but I'll get the game to play it. Like I'm actually already pre-ordered Street Fighter V, which is coming out next month. Can't wait. We'll talk about that game next week as well as a couple others. But so anyway, so PlayStation 1, I'm 19. Street Fighter Alpha 3 comes out. Okay, Street Fighter Alpha 3 is one of the games titled with the Alpha series, which is supposed to be all the characters are taking place when they were younger.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so younger than the Street Fighter 1. So Street Fighter Alpha 3, if you guys remember, have characters like Julie and Jane and Maximo and female wrestler, but you still got your Ryu, whatever. So I got this game and I brought it home, played it, got real good on it. I was like, yo, this is Street Fighter, man. They done hooked this up. You can kind of customize your Street Fighter to give them different types of abilities, like a counter strike, auto blocking, stuff like that. That obviously the first Street Fighter it didn't have that. So I take it over to my friend's house, who's also a gamer, but he's one of those gamers where he doesn't really own any systems. He owns like the oldest system of all of them, and he doesn't really play everything. But whenever you play against him, like he somehow figures out and cracks the code of the game and knows how to play good. So I started coming over and playing this game with him for about a week. He would beat me every single match. I mean, I think he beat me 30 times in a row playing Street Fighter, to the point where he would start asking me, yo, man, you bring that game over? I go, no. So I wouldn't bring the game over. But then I really wanted to play it. So then I would come over to his house and I would play it and just let him watch. And then I felt really bad because I was like, well, that's a crappy way to be. So I'd let him play and he beat me. One day he beat me like I think 15 times in a row so bad that I actually went up to the mall, took the game, and I traded the game in. I got rid of the game. And I never bought that game back ever since until I got a PSP and I bought Street Fighter Alpha Max, which is the same game basically, but for PSP. Never played the game again against my friend. Never got it for PlayStation 1 again. And it just goes to show you how immature I was back then, because now when these little kids and other people beat me in games that I have, I don't care. Like, I just want to get better and I just want to play. And so that's my gaming story. My friend actually made me go and return a game that I loved because I couldn't beat him in it anymore.
That's an awesome story. And actually, for Street Fighter, I got a story too. So actually, my cousin used to play all the time. He was such a focus. He was so focused on that game. It was the only game that he had. He actually brought back other games just so he could focus on this game.
Wow.
So one time we went down to Connecticut to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey, we're gonna go play Street Fighter tonight." So I'm like, "All right, cool." And I was like blown away by the fact that it was an event to the point where like, okay, it's like we're gonna go to my friend's house and play video games tonight. It's like, no, we're gonna go play Street Fighter tonight. So we go to this guy's house. When we get there, there's the driveway is filled with cars, like 5 or 6 cars. We park on the side of the road. We get there. We get down in the basement of this nice house. It was a very nice size house. There's like 20 people in there going in on Street Fighter. And my cousin actually wound up being so good that he ended up playing one of the top guys there and winning. I just remember how intense it was. It was a big screen that had those 6-digit control there, the controls with the 6 big buttons on it that they were using.
Oh yeah, the arcade gamepad.
And I remember the things that stick out the most about that now is how hard they were hitting those keys, and how they were just, their eyes were so. There's watching video games, and then there's being your eye is trained to what's going on. Their eyes were trained to what was going on the screen. And it was just amazing to see people play video games at that level. You know what I mean? Like, I get into a zone, but they're in a whole different zone where it's like, it looks like the Matrix to me.
See, I can't be that focused for one game because then I miss out on all the other ones. So I'm kind of like, I try to get as good with a whole bunch. Like, that's the same thing with like Black Ops 3. I got Black Ops 3, the Battlefield Hardline, and 4. I got Battlefront, Star Wars, and I forgot what other shoot 'em up game I have. Oh, and I have Siege. Okay, on different systems. Okay, and I always struggle sometimes because there's always a learning curve. Like if you play Rainbow Six Siege and then you go to play Black Ops 3, well, obviously it's a learning curve. You're gonna take a butt whooping. I'm at the point though that I don't care anymore. I just love playing the game. You know, and that's what it's all about. And that's the message we try to get out to you guys. And that's what the message that Twitch gets out to you guys by making these streaming communities and servers available. Is like, you're gaming. Gaming doesn't matter about age. That's why I love video gaming. It doesn't matter about age, religion, sex, race, or job or social status. You got a system, you're gonna play, you're gonna play. Being in the game, I always loved games from when I was younger because it was the one place where I could be the hero and I could do what I want to do. And you can't always do what you want to do in real life. But being that we're coming down to the wire, the last thing that we're going to go into some shout outs. And I only have one shout out, the video game shout out for the day for me. Last 3 days I've been playing Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. And I have to give a shout out to my man Killer. You guys are gamer tags. I know why you have to put all the numbers at the end because somebody else took it, but what is it? Killer 310-2003. That's my man right there. This guy is such a hardcore gamer that he plays with us. He has no mic, so we can't hear him, but he can hear us. And he's playing the game and helping us out and just rocking it in multiplayer and everything. We played 3 matches of multiplayer ranked. He couldn't hear us. I mean, we couldn't talk and communicate with him, but he could hear us. And he's communicating through his app at the same time. And, I just got to give that guy credit because, if I didn't have a mic to communicate, I'd probably just be frustrated. But, he's doing his thing, man. He's a good gamer, man. So I just wanted to give him a shout out right there.
Good shout out. Excellent shout out. I'm not sure about the screen name. To be honest with you, the gamer tag. I think it's Mystic Mike, but we were playing with him the other night on Halo 5, and he got booted because he got hit with that suspend thing where they suspend you for being for not playing.
I was there.
He got hit with the 2-hour suspension, man.
Yeah.
Mystic Mike, man. Shout out to Mystic Mike. Yo, I understand the pain that you went through when you get falsely accused of that and Halo kicks you out. They first started out, but just a point. That's a point out because we're wrapping up the show. But just to let you guys know, if you ever get kicked out playing Halo because you either got kicked off the server for inactivity or you just quit out of games, the first time they do it, you can just quit out of the game and it's a bypass the system. But man, lately they've been giving 2-hour penalties for if you get lagged out of a game. So shout out to Mr. Mike for dealing with that. And I mean, he's a good player. He's not even that cheesy dude that does that, but he got hit with the penalty for doing it. So just shout out for him for being a good guy and being a good play gamer and just dealing with it.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. So wrapping up, man. Things we're going to talk about next week. We're going to tackle, what our Super Bowl predictions are going to be. We're getting closer to UFC.
We get closer to UFC fights, yeah.
So that's going to be coming up. And
I'm getting the UFC fight pass, so I'll be discussing more of the UFC fights. Not the big name UFC fights like the Conor McGregors and the Miesha Tates and the Holly Holmes, but more some of the fighters that are on the lower levels spectrum. So we'll be talking about that more often as well.
Okay, and we'll also be going over some games. We'll be reviewing some more games. I'll throw some names out there. I'll look at the end half of this this stream so I can remember what it's going to be. But I mean, I think I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. We'll get into some Rainbow Six Siege. We'll review that game. Love that game.
If there's a game you guys want to talk about,
Street Fighter as well.
And you check it out, seeing Sheldon play it on his stream, or if you see me on stream. If there's a game that you want to talk about that you've seen us play, or you played, or your hair's coming out, put it in the comments and we'll get back to it. We'll take a look at it. Let you know what I mean? That's what we do. So
definitely.
We
and
appreciate it.
Just to let you know, this channel won't end here. I'll be off for a little bit, but then I'll be back on with Call of Duty Black Ops 3 tonight. A little marathon, 4 or 5 hours. I finally cracked the code of how I need to play in the attachments I need to stay away from and work with tips that I got online, plus with people that I played with, plus my old strategy guide. I actually used those, and now you will start to see as I start playing my change in my adaptation from Advanced Warfare to Black Ops 3 Call of Duty Black Ops 3, because in this game you can't run and gun. You got to be a little bit more selective. So on that note, thank you guys for enjoying the show. We kept it pretty much to an hour like we said we were going to.
We did.
You guys have a good night. Enjoy the show. You can see this on YouTube. See you guys next week. Peace.